Thank you, Christy.
We are recording.
So before we get started, I just want to give you a little tour of this website. So the site has two purposes. Number one, it's here to help us with the training because all the materials we do will be on this site. And then number two, it's kind of a souvenir for you. So for later, you'll notice there's this resources tab on the left-hand side. I'll bring this up again later, but we have guides for getting started with PlayPosit. So a lot of the how-to steps we do today, we actually have written articles here just because we're not expecting anyone to do this once and then memorize all the steps. So you have how-to guides to refer back to. If you're interested in checking out different ways people have used PlayPosit before, we have a couple of examples here. And then we'll be using sample Google Docs together during part of the training. So you have the URL to this website. We'll send it to you after this, but this is for you for right now during the workshop, and you have access to this later. So we're gonna get started on creating interactive worksheets. PlayPosit calls this, in their fancy terminology, text-based bulbs. So we kind of use the layman's term interactive worksheets, but they both mean the same thing. So we can go ahead and get started. This is by TLI Learning Design. And so today, we just want to make sure that you're able to create and edit a text-based bulb in Canvas. So you'll be able to make something and then go back later for changes. You're going to be able to insert interactions into a bulb. And if you don't know what interactions or bulb means, that's okay. We're going to explain it in a second. And we're going to be able to list 3 ways in which text-based bulbs are going to be used in the classroom, or like potential uses. So there's a lot of room to get creative here. Basically, our goal is for you by the end of this to leave with something that you could potentially use. So let's go ahead and explain those PlayPosit terms. So PlayPosit is traditionally interactive web-based video platform that allows you to add quiz type questions to videos. So the whole name is a pun, right? It's play video, and then pause it. Today, we're going to be doing kind of a little hacky workaround to make it be more of an interactive text rather than an interactive video. And so a bulb is the experience you create. So traditionally, you make video bulbs where it's an interactive video. So today, we're doing text-based bulbs, so a different kind of bulb. And interactions are the question types placed in the bulb. So you have lots of different options here. There's multiple choice, there's free response, there's poll interactions, check all, fill in the blank discussion. Free response is what it sounds like. You can have students write whatever they want to do. They can leave audio comments, video comments. That's really similar to discussion. Where discussion, they can still leave all those comment types, but they are required to interact with each other. So that's the difference between those two very similar ones. Any questions so far about the how-to or the terminology?
No, sounds good.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and have you try a bulb, just so you can see what we're talking about here. So we have an example bulb for you. Don't worry about getting the correct answer. This is just more for you experiencing what can happen with PlayPosit. So if you go to the site, scroll down, and take about 2 minutes to check out this worksheet here. So go ahead and click this link and let us know in the chat if you're having any trouble accessing it, but I'm gonna go ahead and start a timer and give us 2 minutes just to play with this and click through and see what happens. Okay, and that's about our 2 minutes. Before we move on, I just want to show you something in regards to this. So there's 2 things I want to point out here. So number 1, you can have built-in feedback for your students. So if you want to have set it and forget it grading, this is a great way to make it interactive and support them, where you see here when I click this answer, you can even build in feedback to this. So this lets you kind of still have an instructor presence with your students without any grading or any additional work on your part. So building in feedback is a good move to save you time. Something I also want to point out is all these question types here. You see how I have text for the question? If you wanted to, you could insert a video there. You could insert an audio file there. So that's another way for you to have an instructor presence while having this kind of be a hands-off thing. So although there is a bit of a learning curve for PlayPosit, it's a great way to build a lot of set it and forget it things that you could reuse in your course. There's also really rich analytics, which is great for you to get a pulse check on your learners. So this is what you would see on the grading side. Over here where there's this square, all the names are blocked out, but you'll be able to see individual students, if they've completed it or not. You'll be able to see everyone's answers. You'll even be able to look at the answer distribution for one specific question. So this is a great way to inform your teaching practice, where you'll be able to see right away, what are they getting? What are they not getting? What are the most common wrong answers? And you'll be able to click on individual students' free response answers if you want to, read the free response answers, and you'll be able to leave direct feedback if you want to leave direct feedback to them. So lots of strong analytics on the instructor side. Yeah, and so just some ways to consider using it. There's so many different ways to use this tool. And like I mentioned earlier, PlayPosit is mostly a video-based platform. Using the text-based bulb, that's a pretty new, unique use case of PlayPosit. So I'm really excited for you to try this. And if you move forward with the text-based bulb, definitely let me know. So sometimes in higher ed, there's formats of readings that are really difficult. So a classic example, like you saw, is scientific papers. Students kind of sometimes struggle to understand the format, or where do they go first? Maybe it's a special type of poem. So if that's kind of a harder reading type, you can support them. You can add guiding questions to point them in the right direction. Say, hey, focus on the abstract first. You can add pauses. So this is a type of interaction where you just provide information. It's not asking them any questions. It's just providing information. So you can say, oh, here is this resource for how to work through this, and they can use it or not use it, just kind of adding that structure for them. Is there any problem-solving strategy students usually struggle with? So if you teach like math or any other calculation-based discipline, you probably already know the question types that students struggle with the most. And a lot of times in those courses, they build, like early on in the course, you learn some fundamental problem-solving strategy, and everything else builds on top of that. So these are the type of things where students really need a strong foundation. You could create a document that's kind of outlining the steps, like how to solve a differential equation. And on that how-to guide, you could ask them questions on it. You could even have a how-to guide, and at the bottom have a math question for them to solve and have a space for them there. So this is a way to guarantee that they're interacting with how-to directions for something really important. There might be an opportunity to gauge students' comfort with the material. So you could add a poll interaction. So this is completely ungraded. You're just asking for feedback on them. And then you can, if they say they're struggling with something, you can leave feedback for them there. This is just a way to kind of get a pulse check on your learners. And a lot of times for courses of all disciplines, there's required reading before a class, required reading before a lab. So you could put that required reading into PlayPosit, and it guarantees that they have to read them, right? If you just post a reading to Canvas, you don't know, there's no accountability there. So you can kind of build this accountability in by turning a reading into a PlayPosit bulb. And adding questions, make sure that they at least interact with the parts that you really need them to know. And then this is for really any discipline, but if you notice your students struggle to miss course details, right? They're missing due dates. Yeah, Daniel, you have a question, what's up?
Oh, you can finish your thought. Before we moved on, I had a couple questions, but okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, you can turn your syllabus into a PlayPosit text-based bulb at the beginning of the semester. That way you know they're aware of the important course details. And if you have a really long assignment, so like a multi-part assignment or some big project, you could even put the assignment instructions into a PlayPosit bulb. Just anytime you are distributing information that's course related and really need them to know it, this is a great way to build that accountability in there. Daniel, what was your question?
Oh, this is great. I remember Megan and I talking about PlayPosit from the beginning of designing the Social 100 course. And the one of the things you just said about utilizing PlayPosit for the readings. So
Mhm.
we could input questions into the reading as they're reading through, it sounds like. And then if for some reason they got it wrong, it would allow them to go back in the reading to reread until, okay. That's actually a really wonderful tool. And
Yeah.
another, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's nice because let's say they get it wrong, you can build in feedback that says, "Oh, check out this section." So it's kind of like
Yeah.
like a little hint.
No, that's really great. And, reading's just one of the avenues we've tried to engage in the ecosystem of Social 100, realizing that not everybody reads the same. And so we provide other resources to get at the information. But I like this because it guarantees that they're at least attempting and going through and getting the main points. That's a
Mhm.
really wonderful tool. I think the other questions I had are already answered. One was you can input, and I remember Megan telling me this, that you can input, a video link and things like that, or in a film, you could put in a resource, a pause, and have a resource to a web page or something like that, um, which is fantastic. And you could also create an exam. If you had a film, for example, that harnessed multiple themes in a chapter, you could then build the questions for the exam into the film at all. Um,
And that's as long as your film will link into PlayPosit. So that's something we need to look at. But there's ways that
okay.
yes, we can. It's just looking at different connections. So
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had one. I'm just wondering, first off, I love this. This is great. But I am wondering, like, what would be the benefit of this over making like a fillable PDF form or a Google form if like we were putting it along with an assignment? Um, what would be like the strong benefits of using this over just a traditional form with the questions?
Oh, the strong benefit of this is that this links directly to Canvas. So it's a Canvas assignment and the analytics that you get on the back end here. So this integrates really nicely with Canvas. I would say the main pro, but Megan and Chrissy.
Yeah, so I would also add, as Jordan was saying, the grading is going to be easier. And for me, as the accessibility person, I would be concerned that the PDF is an accessible PDF, which is not a default setting, which I know, Brienne,
Yeah.
most faculty don't know, so it's not so much just easy of creating it, but wanting to make sure that that document is inclusive for everyone as well. So that
So is this actually more accessible than PDF or Google Forms?
without extra work, yeah, I would go this way for sure.
Cool. Thank you.
And something else to keep in mind too is, yes, there's the front end work of developing it. But if you do take the time to add in links to feedback, you can also control settings so it jumps students back to a question or forward. But it automates the feedback and they get that immediate feedback, but you can spend more time looking at your analytics and then target students who maybe didn't do well on the reading. Or if you have, like Daniel has an EPE, an embedded peer educator in the course. And so that EPE could target reaching out to those students to see if they wanted to meet for some additional support. So it is timely to develop the initial use, but then you can use it again and again and again, semester over semester. You can share them with other instructors. And you're really getting to spend more time on the feedback and outreach.
Yeah, because the PDF would essentially be a free response, which is an option that Georgia may talk about today in PlayPosit, whereas there's ways around not having to grade the free response, which again, Georgia knows all about, but your PDF, obviously, you're the only one that can give them that feedback, right? So you're making more work for yourself, whereas this might help equate, both encourage their learning and all the other things we've already talked about, and make it easier for you as the instructor, to get them back the feedback and correct answers or whatever that they need.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So Daniel was right on this point with his idea. So I'm curious about what you all think. So we have a Padlet. I'd love to hear 2 ideas or questions you have about PlayPosit. So if you're having trouble getting started, what type of documents would you personally turn into this type of assignment? Which interaction types do you see being useful? What do you want to know more about? Just generally your ideas. So if you scroll down, we have a Padlet here. And this is my favorite part because there are almost unlimited ways to use this tool. So I'm curious about what you all think as instructors and people who work with our students directly. What are some ideas you have for using PlayPosit with your learners? So take a couple minutes to just add some ideas into this Padlet here. And you just need to click the plus icon and you'll be able to begin writing.
I'm sorry. Where's the link to the Padlet?
Oh, do you have access to the site?
I do. Yeah, I can get on there.
Oh yeah, go to the site and then on the home page you scroll all the way to the bottom and this is where the Padlet is.
Yeah, embedded on the support site.
And then I can also drop the link to the Padlet in the chat. Yeah, so walking them through evaluating a primary source and walking them through a scholarly article. Those are both great ones. There's a lot of evidence that students being able to feel confident walking through primary literature connects them to their future field, right? We want to set them up for success. We want them to be able to look at a scientific article and know that they can do that and know that they're part of the science field. I like this, guiding them through multi-step problems and statistics and direct them to resources for when they're not able to do the step. I love that. I love that it's chunked into steps. I think a lot of times people struggling with calculation-based classes are struggling with the steps and knowing the steps instead of plugging and chugging. So that's a great way to break it down to avoid the plug and chug and get them thinking critically. Write more of the previous workshop like for videos. Yeah, you could definitely merge a PDF handout into the video and we'll show you a way where you can actually, whatever PDF you have or a Google Doc you have, you'll be able to embed it into a video. We're doing basically a workaround of that today. So that's a similar workflow to what we're doing today. And yeah, you can definitely connect this to quizzes and exams for other types of media. So thank you, everyone. These are great ideas. I love them. I'm sure more will come up as this sits in the back burner of your brain.
What would be the advantage of, like, I use VoiceThread a lot, and in the VoiceThreads, I'm doing recordings of lecture slides, and then also injecting, in the bubbles below my lecture piece, putting in resources. I guess you could utilize this in the same way. I'm just wondering the difference when I would default to PlayPosit versus VoiceThread, probably when I'm using more multimedia.
Yeah, so PlayPosit has more question types than VoiceThread, and VoiceThread is a great, social tool where they're commenting with each other. This is more of building accountability into individuals reading. So this one's a little bit less community focused, although you do have the discussion option in PlayPosit if you do want to be a little bit more community focused.
Yeah, so you get analytics with PlayPosit. So you can really see the engagement and how your students are doing. Whereas in VoiceThread, the grading is again on you as the instructor. If you're going with grading, and you see notifications when there's new comments and like new additions, to it, but you don't get to see like, oh, I had 8 people comment on this slide, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Out of my 30 students.
Exactly. I'd say voice is fabulous when you're wanting to have rich, just like engaged discussion. Whereas the PlayPosit is great for, you want to make sure they viewed the lecture and had some interactive points. So it's
no, I like that.
The VoiceThread is really trying to get them used to talking, and expressing themselves in your class, so you want to get them comfortable to ask questions and engage with each other. It can be a good way to be like, hey, like we want to hear from you. Like right now, we want to hear from you. So it's great that you're interacting with us. That would be what I would say.
Well,
awesome. Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that you all are familiar with the awesome tools that we have on campus and are comparing them. Let's go ahead and get started with the how-to portion of this. So we're going to walk you through creating one on your own. And like I said earlier, don't stress out about memorizing all the steps, because under the resources tab, you do have the how-to guide that explains each of these steps. If you want to just sit back and relax and watch us do this, that's totally fine too, but this is your opportunity to get some hands-on practice. You're going to need a laptop, so you are all on Zoom, so I know you're good to go. Canvas account, and of course to build it in, right? You don't have to publish this just yet, just practice. And this can be done with Google Docs. So if you have a Google Doc right now, you want to use, you can pull it up. If you don't have one, like I don't have one right now, I'm going to pull one from the resources tab on the site. So I'm going to click on the resources tab on the left-hand side. I'm going to scroll to the bottom where I see sample Google Docs or CI Docs. I'm just going to choose one. I'll do a sample syllabus, and I'm going to click make a copy.
All right, I found it. So just to be clear, we're not opening this like within Canvas yet. We're just like opening a Google Doc that we have, in our drive.
Yes, yeah. So
Okay.
we're going to do something to this Google Doc. So it's kind of like a little hacky workaround, but we're going to click File. And from there, we are going to the Share menu. And from there, we're going to publish to the web. So this will allow it to embed within PlayPosit. Once you click publish to the web, you're going to get this page. And you want to click embed. Or sorry, you want to click publish first. Yes, we want to publish this section. And then that will give access to the embed code. And what we're going to want to save for later is, you see this URL that's within the quotes. This is the URL that we want, and we're going to go back to later. So does anyone have questions about this step here?
So we don't copy the iframe part, just the URL part?
Just the URL, everything within the quotes we're going to use. Yeah. Okay, great. Now we're going to go ahead and pull up Canvas so we can actually build the PlayPosit part. So take a second to open up Canvas. Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and create a PlayPosit, whether it's from module view or assignments. What we're going to do is add an assignment. So I'm going to click this plus sign. I'm going to add an assignment, and I'm going to title this assignment just PlayPosit workshop practice. And we're creating that assignment. From there, we can go ahead, click the assignment title. And we see our assignment here, and we want to go to the edit with a pencil at the top right of the screen. So far, this workflow is really similar to just any general type of assignment. You've probably done this before. What we're going to do to start incorporating PlayPosit is we're going to scroll down to submission type. So some of you were mentioning VoiceThread. So if you've created a VoiceThread, you're familiar with this. We're going to go to submission type. And from the drop-down menu, we're going to select external tool, because this is something that Canvas links to, right? It's not inherently a part of Canvas. It's a tool that's from the outside. Then we're going to click this find that appeared here, and that will give us a list of all the external tools we have at Channel Islands. It's in alphabetical order, which is great. So we're just going to scroll down nearly to the bottom and click PlayPosit. So where we're going to click, it's almost a little counterintuitive. We're going to click this enter PlayPosit text here. So it's not really a button. We're going to click enter PlayPosit. So at the center of the screen. And here we see the My Bulbs list. So I have a lot of bulbs in here. Once you have more bulbs in here, you will have a longer list too. Since we're creating something from scratch, we're going to click the add new bulb button at the top left, right? We're creating a new bulb. And this takes us to the PlayPosit bulb builder menu. So remember earlier when I let you know that PlayPosit is traditionally a video-based platform. So we're going to do kind of a hacky workaround. We have to have a video here for it to be a true PlayPosit. So the workaround here is doing a really short, meaningless video as the base of the bulb. So the easiest way for you to do that is with all these options for your video source, we're going to click YouTube. And we're going to search YouTube for 5 seconds blank. This will pull up a list of blank 5-second long videos that we can use for our bulb. This way we can put a worksheet on top of it and be good to go. Any questions about this idea? Okay, great. And one thing I wanted to point out, since a lot of you are interested in the video-based bulb, so far all the steps that we've done would still work for video-based bulbs, right? So these are transferable skills. I'm going to choose this first one. And I'm going to retitle the video. Otherwise, when you look back on this bulb when you're trying to edit them, it'll be titled 5-second blank video and you might not remember what it is. So I'll title this something meaningful, interactive, syllabus. And then I'm going to click done. So any questions or any snags here? Okay, great. So this is the base of our video, this bulb, this short 5-second video. We want to add the worksheet as an interaction. So I'm going to click the interaction tabs at the top bar. And I want to add an interaction at the 0-second mark. So the worksheet is going to be a separate interaction. And we're embedding it from the web. This is why earlier we did that step where we published the Google Doc and got the embed code. We're going to click web embed here. So now that we are about to place our web embed interaction, let's go back to the original document. And we want to highlight again, just everything that's inside of the quotation marks here. So I'm going to copy this. So going back to the Google Doc, copying this embed code, just the quotes part. And then I'm going to go back to PlayPosit and paste that as my URL. And we should see some kind of preview. That's your check to let you know if it works. So let's say you accidentally copied the entire embed code. You would not get a preview here. You would say, okay, what am I doing wrong? And then you would go back and remember, oh, I need to put just the quotes in there. So one of the important steps that we're going to do to make it take up the whole screen is we're going to click placements. This 2 here at the top bar. And so we want to place this worksheet interaction in the center of the entire screen. So if you click this play button, this will make your document take up the entire screen where students will be able to scroll through it.
The majority of the screen.
The majority of the screen, yeah, the majority of the screen. And then your interactions that you choose later will go on the side. And then we will click done. Okay, so congrats. Technically, you just created a text-based bulb. So this is exciting stuff. This is just getting the document in there. And we also want to talk about adding interactions. So adding those questions and the steps of adding interactions that we're going to do now will be the same steps that you do if you're trying to do a video-based bulb. So this is transferable information too, if you're interested in the video aspect of it. So I'm going to click add an interaction because I want to add another one. And let's say I want to do a free response question, but I don't want to grade it. I'm going to click free response. I'm going to ask a question. So one thing I want to point out here is look at how many different tools we have. So you can jump them to different points in the video. You can record a video as part of the question. You can attach a file. You can leave them an audio message. You can insert an image, right? So you could even insert a question here, like you wanted to solve a specific type of question, put that in there. You can add emojis, and then for the math people, there's a rich text editor for equations, so you could write a math equation here if you needed to. Just lots of different things that you have. I'm going to write a really weak free response question. I say, what do you think? And I always encourage you, no matter what interactions you have, click this advanced option and explore the different options. So maybe you want them to have more than one attempt. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want them to be able to upload videos when answering this interaction. Just click that advanced tab and explore and think about what works for your class. And then I'm going to click done. So a lot of you here, you probably don't want to grade every single free response question. I think one of the benefits of PlayPosit is being able to kind of set it and forget it in some ways. So this question here, what do you think? Obviously, there is no one correct answer to this. If you want to grade it or ungrade it, sorry, right now you'll see that it's worth 3 points. So as is, you would have to go into the back end of PlayPosit, grade each one individually and assign it 3, 2, 1, or 0 points. If you want to skip this, the workaround is to just make this worth 0 points. So you click the 3 dots on this interaction and adjust this scroll bar for points, and you want to make it be 0. This way, they will pass through this without you having to add any grades. Any kind of questions on that?
I don't have a question on that, but on the part where you said you could like skip it to a part in the video, can you make it so that if they get like a question wrong, it goes to a certain part of the document? Be like, no, come back over here and look at this.
Yeah, I believe so. We're gonna try a multiple choice question next, and then we'll kind of play around and see if that's there, because I know there are jump interactions sometimes.
So the jump interactions are made for a video, not for a document.
Yes.
And in the feedback, you can stop them. I mean, so you can keep them from progressing and say, go back and look at page this, or go back to column this, or start at the subheadings, redirect them to where they should start looking.
So yeah, we'll play around with one more interaction type. We'll do a multiple choice one. I would encourage you to explore all of them, but multiple choice is great because there is one correct answer. So this is nicer for you if you want, to build accountability without grading. We'll keep it really easy. So you can just type out answers that you want. And then for multiple choice, one of the benefits is adding feedback. So if you click a gear icon next to an answer choice, you can click add feedback. And then Brian, this is your question. You can even add jump. So if you wanted to jump to a different point in the video, you could. Since this is a worksheet and it's a 5-second long blank video, probably not for this example, but if you're thinking about using PlayPosit for videos, you do have this option, right? So if they chose one and that's the wrong answer, you can send them back to the part where it's talking about adding numbers, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question. So far we've been clicking add an interaction at 0, 0.
Mm-hmm.
When the students do this, are they going to like answer a question and then it will advance to the next question? And like, do we have to worry about advancing our blank 5-second video at all?
No, in this example, you don't. So they'll jump from interaction to interaction. And then once they're done with all the interactions, the 5-second long video will play. So
okay.
Yeah, so they have to watch that 5-second video. And once they've watched the 5-second video, they'll get this circle that says you completed the bulb.
The big thing is that the interactions won't be something you can complete without actually reading the stuff that's on the side that you've been embedded into the PlayPosit interaction. But I'm sure George is going to show you that once you're done with this part, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a great question. If you're creating a video bulb, you'd obviously want to space them out so they're not all there at once, but for the purposes of this, it's okay to leave them all at the 0-second mark. Anyways, going back to that, click the gear icon, you can add feedback, you can add a jump. So you could say close, but not quite. You could attach a link here. You could attach a video here. So you have tons of control of what you have as instructor for feedback. And then you select the answer that is correct. So I'm going to click 2. And as always, explore the advanced tab. So you can randomize the answer order. You can allow more than 1 attempt. Maybe you want them to get 3 tries. Maybe you want them to get unlimited. You can show the feedback on the last attempt, or you can show feedback always. You just have a lot of options here as an instructor. I'm going to click done. And let's say this bulb is at a place where I'm either happy with it or I'm done editing for the day and I want to save this. I'm going to click review at the right side of this tab. And this is where you save, and this is where you apply settings to the entire bulb. So it's always a good idea to explore the playback options. Here you have total control. So you can let your students skip interactions. You can allow them to not skip interactions. You can allow them to retake this bulb. So if you're using this for a reading and you want them to be able to go back and access this reading, you want them to be able to retake the bulb. You can even add a setting where it's not complete unless they score a certain percent. So maybe they don't need to get a perfect score. Maybe they just need to get a 75%. You can totally adjust that. So these are entire bulb settings. I'm going to click Save Changes. And one thing that we can do, I always recommend doing this, is clicking Preview. So this lets you see what your students are going to see in PlayPosit. So all those questions of how is this going to work can be answered by clicking the Preview button. And so here, right, this is like the play button is for the 5-second video, and we click play. We'll see that they can scroll through the document on the right and answer questions on the left. So they're clicking through the interactions and they're able to scroll through. So you could say, hey, scroll down, scroll up, right? Oh no, I got this answer wrong. I'm going to click continue, right? And then this is where the 5-second video is now playing. And here it says, I completed the bulb, and one of my grades will be graded by my instructor. But yeah, any questions about that? What was that?
But you are going to show them the final process in Canvas, right?
Yes, yeah. So we're almost done here. So when we click save, we're going to go close this tab and head back to our LMS, which for us, that's Canvas. We're clicking close.
I'm sorry, where are you pressing save?
Oh, so if you are in the PlayPosit building the bulb.
I think I'm in the previews though.
If you're
is it on another tab?
It'll be a separate tab, yes.
Yeah, it'll be a separate tab. So yeah, the preview tab is a separate tab. And then it'll have you, if you go back to the original tab we were at and PlayPosit, you scroll to the bottom, you should see a save button.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. So then when you click save, this is an important step. I think this is a easy to miss step. So once you click save, go back to Canvas.
Likely also another tab.
Yes, Canvas will be, we're going to go back to our Canvas tab. And right now, Canvas knows that we're putting an external tool, PlayPosit, in there. It doesn't know which PlayPosit bulb you want to put in. So once you create the bulb, it's our job to tell Canvas, hey, not only are you using PlayPosit, you're using the specific bulb. So you should see a screen here with all your bulbs that you've made. If this is your first bulb, then it'll be the only one there. And you should see the title that you selected. So here I've titled mine Interactive Syllabus. Yours might say 5-second video or whatever you titled yours. What we do to set the bulb link is hover over this Canvas icon. And this wants to set the bulb link to Canvas. So we're going to go ahead and click it. Yes, we would like to create it as a self-paced assignment, and we can click link. Now Canvas knows not only are we using PlayPosit, but it knows which specific bulb we want to do. So we're going to click select, we're good to go. And we can click save.
Or save and publish if you're ready for it to go live.
Yeah, or save and publish if you're ready to go live. Yeah. Any questions so far? Okay, as a final how-to, we're just going to show you really quickly how to edit it. just because I'm sure no one made a perfect bulb today. I'm sure there's lots of stuff you want to try. So I bring this up because it's kind of confusing. You might be tempted to want to click edit assignment settings. This will help you edit the Canvas portion of this. If you want to actually edit the PlayPosit, we have to go back into PlayPosit. And remember, it's not any of these buttons. It says enter PlayPosit at the center. We're going to click enter PlayPosit. You're going to be taken back to the My Bulb screen, and you should have one bulb with a little canvas icon here that lets you know, hey, this is the PlayPosit bulb for this specific assignment. And it's a little bit counterintuitive. You want to click on the thumbnail of the video, right? So here I see my interactive syllabus. It's linked with the canvas icon. I click on the thumbnail, and you'll get this option, and I want to click edit. I'm going to click edit, and this will take us back to that familiar screen, the bulb builder that we were working in before, once our Wi-Fi catches up. But this is how you would edit your bulb in PlayPosit.
Excuse me, something funny is going on with mine. I can only see half of that confirm edit bulb. It's like getting chopped. Oh, never mind. Sorry. I have to scroll somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so then we're back here, and then this is your kind of play place where you can add interactions, edit them, kind of play around with the tool and figure out what works best for your course. But that concludes the how-to portion. I just want to
analytics a little since we have so many new folks.
What was that, Chrissy?
The analytics part. Like,
oh, yeah.
Go to see.
Oh, yeah. So the analytics that we talked about, if you go back to the assignment here, if you want to monitor your students' progress, you can click this red monitor button. So monitor is how you view the analytics, and no one's taken my bulb yet, sadly, because I just created it here. But if they would have taken it, all of the analytics would be here. So I'd be able to click on individual questions. You'd be able to grade all, so you can grade things very quickly. Right, you can see the interaction data for each one. So this is where the rich analytics live, which is like the huge pro of this tool.
Since we talked so much about analytics, that we would know where to get to it.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. And so I'm not expecting you all to remember how to do everything here. Just remember on the workshop site that you have, if you go under the resources tab, we have how to create a text-based bulb. This is what you just did. We have how to improve the accessibility of your CI doc. So since this is a Google Doc based platform and you want to have an eye towards accessibility, you can do that. We have how to edit, how to add interactions. So lots of how-to guides for you. So yes, PlayPosit works in Canvas. It does show up in SpeedGrader, so this makes your life easier. We do have the resources for getting started, and you can track your individual students' progress. So I realize we're running short on time, so my apologies, but do you have any final questions? Oh, Brian, that's a great question. If the original video gets deleted, will it mess with your PlayPosit bulb?
You can use it because anything in YouTube is public domain, but should that owner of that video content pull it from YouTube, it wouldn't be available anymore. So
thank you.
But anything you've created, so you record in Zoom or any other third-party recording tool, you can upload it into PlayPosit, and that's your content.
That's great. Just because I've run into that with YouTube on something we did, Megan, with Search 100.
It's public domain, so those things do happen. But things like even your crash course videos, those could be put in PlayPosit, and you could add interactions. And Perfect. So you think about it too. There's a way to do that as an assignment, or if you want to keep it kind of like you've had as a self-check, you can also make them available as not an assignment, and it's an option for students to go through and complete those interactions.
That's great. I think that's what we talked about originally, was using it, not using those crash course that way. So anyway, great. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. If there are any last minute questions that you have, that'd be a good time. And you can always email me or set up a time with my bookings. I should have pointed that out in the resources tab. You can book a consult with me. So if you're getting started with PlayPosit or have an idea for your course, you can just click this link and schedule some time with me. And I'm super happy to go over it with you. And I'm excited that you all are here. Yeah, but other than that, thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate you, supporting our students by trying a new tool. I think it takes a lot of effort to do that. So I applaud you all.